Hello and welcome to another Pretty Good Gaming podcast. This week it is episode 34 and that's number 24 for you non-Welsh speaking listeners and viewers out there.
Even you sounded like you were struggling with that one. Sounds like there's a lot of...
I just struggle with words in general.
No matter what language.
Yeah.
Okay.
My name is Gareth Evans. I'm joined today by Mr. Henry Freaker Killer Cooper.
I was wondering what little mid one you're going to do. I had some nice comments about that. People saying I was doing well.
Yeah, well, obviously, talking about the Let's Play video that you did this week.
Bit of an experiment, something we don't really do, but
yeah, you got some positive feedback on it, and people noting that obviously you're quite good at that game. You're not too bad. You're not too shabby. You old
comparisons to quote unquote game journalists did make me laugh.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to
I've been playing the game for a while.
Console scrubs. I mean, you're in a decent tier.
I've played a lot of that game and I've platinumed it, so I'm quite used to how it works. And I played it a couple times before I started filming, so it didn't look too terrible.
I was impressed that you were able to continue your thought processes and killing the zombies, freakers, as well as talking and narrating. Yeah, I was pretty impressed. I was like, is he doing that live? And obviously you were. So.
That was part of the reason I rehearsed it ahead of time, so I didn't just get stressed out and scream.
There you go. Days Gone, the DLC. We will be talking about that in more detail later on in this podcast, having a conversation about if you haven't seen or if you have seen the video that Henry posted earlier in the week, then that's what we're talking about, going into detail, as well as we've got a few other things to discuss. We've got talking about EA, and apparently they're not the bad guys. We're talking about, is Steam stunting the growth of the games industry? We also have Discord questions to reply to and to answer, as well as we're going to read out some YouTube comments, including the famous triggered fanboy comment of the week, which I'm in two minds. I've got two triggered fanboy comments of the week this week, and maybe you can help me decide which one is it takes the title.
Yeah, they're both still getting the jingle because I spent a bit too long making that jingle last week.
Yeah, you've got it now. You've got it edited. You can just copy and paste it in.
I've got it saved, so I can just slot it in.
Excellent. Okay, so first off this week, we are talking about EA and them saying, we are not the bad guys, or that's not how they see themselves anyway.
Yeah, they don't think they're the bad guy. Every villain is the hero in their own story, right? Isn't that the expression?
Yeah, I guess so.
So this is on an article, I think, at gamesindustry.biz, and it's about a chat they had with some of the EA team at E3, so it's a little bit old, and they've just brought it out now. Mm-hmm. And it is with, what's his name? EA Executive Vice President of Strategic Growth, Matt Bilby. So it sounds like he's got quite a fancy job, but it's one of those titles that doesn't really mean
Executive
a lot.
Vice President, all that means is fuck all.
Yeah,
Executive Vice President is a non-entity because everyone's an Executive Vice President. Yeah. He's just in charge of strategic growth, essentially. Yeah. That's it. He's the big boy in charge of strategic growth, and he answers to the president or the vice president. He's got a boss. He's an executive.
Just call him the management of strategic growth or supervisor or whatever. It's the same bloody thing.
Executive vice president of bullshit.
Everyone's an EVP these days. But anyway, so the article starts off by talking about how he uses like a kind of an analogy of the MCV awards, which are like big marketing awards for I think the wider industry, but the games get one as well.
Sure.
And EA never win. Despite having massive marketing campaigns, the games always do really well. But it's because other publishers don't vote for them because it's peer review. Mm-hmm. So the other publishers don't even like EA because they're a bad word. EA's a dirty word, and you see it all. Even when we're nice to them in our videos, like Jedi Fallen Order looks cool. There's always a couple comments. Yeah, but it's EA, so fuck it.
Yeah,
it's because it is EA. They're shit.
They have a reputation. They have this very, very firm reputation of being the bad guys doing some of the bad things. So I mean, it's
not unwarranted.
Yeah, it's not unwarranted, and the fact that other developers or publishers don't vote for them in these types of awards, it shows you that it's not just us being unreasonable, it's other people being unreasonable too, or EA are just actually deserve their reputation.
Exactly. Most of the conversation is geared around their EA Originals program, which is where they hoover up some indie studios and then publish their games, and all of the money goes back to the developers apart from X amount, which is to just cover the EA costs of doing the marketing.
I might say the only one good thing that they've got going for them, EA, at the moment, is this indie program thing. I think it's really good.
I think they did. Did they do Unravel? I want to say they did Unravel.
Yeah, they did Unravel.
A Way Out, which I still really want to play.
Yeah, they did.
So they've got some quite popular titles with them. They've got studios they've got that they had listed there is Hazelight, Glowmade, and Zoink.
Yeah,
I mean, Zoink is an excellent name for a studio.
Hazelight, I think, is the Way Out, right?
Yeah, something like that. I can't really remember. But anyway, so there's a bunch of quotes in this article, and I didn't pick out all of them because a lot of them were just, EA executive bollocks.
Yeah.
Like, well, we as a company believe in 3 core pillars of our life and all that. The key hook of it is 25 years at EA, and I still struggle with the external perception that we're just a bunch of bad guys.
Yeah.
It's because you do bad decisions.
Matt Bilby, right?
Yeah.
I think, doesn't this just highlight how delusional, I always say that Andrew Wilson is either delusional or he's a bullshitter, right? But this guy coming out and saying, I just don't understand how people can think we're the bad guys. That reeks of delusion to me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it just doesn't understand the state of reality, or like he's ignorant to it. I mean, could they be that ignorant?
Exactly. And like, Hitler thought he was the hero because he was like, I'm saving Germany, I'm doing the world a service. No, you're not. You're a madman.
Yeah.
You killed millions of people.
I mean, I guess it's how they justify their bullshit. And I think it is a trait of a really good villain or nemesis, right?
In fiction.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway,
right? It's a really good trait. Yeah, obviously in fiction, because Hitler was a fucking arsehole, right? I'm not saying that he wasn't.
Let's just get that out there right now.
But that they believe they're doing the right thing. That's. I mean, you can have a bad guy in fiction who does the wrong thing, but for no reason. Like just killing people. Why? Because I'm the bad guy. That's not good enough, right? As a bad guy, you want someone to believe in a cause and to believe they're doing the right thing. Like the Imperials in like Star Wars or whatever, right? They're bringing peace and order to the universe or whatever they justify it. Yeah. But that's the justification, and that's what gives them character. That's what makes them cool. Right? Does it make EA cool because they're justifying their own bullshit? I don't know. No. I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying.
Well, the thing is about this Matt Bilby fella, he does sound way better than Andrew Wilson, because everyone knows when you look at Andrew Wilson, he just looks, he's uncomfortable to look at because he's so, like, he looks like a waxwork, he looks like a Bond villain, looks like Robbie Rotten. But this guy, I don't know what this guy looks like.
I mean, how can you get worse than Andrew Wilson?
Exactly.
I mean, saying that he's better than Andrew Wilson says that, he looks like someone who's breathing, who's alive.
Yeah, a rational human being. Well, this guy, at least even if he isn't better, he knows how to sound better and has a better turn of phrase. But anyway, goes on a bit more. We love making games and playing games. Unfortunately, when we make mistakes on games, the whole world knows about it because of its size and scale. So that's like, everyone makes mistakes, but they only have a go at us because we're so much bigger and more people see them. It's like, yeah, but the scale of your mistakes has been bad, irrespective of how big you are as a company.
Well, and believe us when we say that anyone who fucks up, the whole world knows about it.
Yeah.
And it's not just because of your size and scale. Like the community calls out all sorts of shit, from the lowest, smallest indie developer right the way up to EA. Like all spectrums of bullshit in the industry gets highlighted. It's not just because you're that big.
Yeah, exactly. Gamers are one of the most vocal groups when they're not happy, and they're not happy quite a lot because there's so many of them.
Well, maybe they do get more headlines because of it, because of this in terms of mainstream media outlets. Maybe the backlash towards Battlefront 2 or whatever got a lot more traction because it's EA and these big outlets were covering it, whereas they wouldn't do if it was a smaller indie developer doing dealing with the same sort of controversy.
Yeah, I guess when traditional news outlets like, I don't know, BBC or something, who aren't gaming focused, if they get on you, that's a big deal if you've done a bad thing anyway. So he carries on a bit more. We know from all the work that we've been doing on our subscription business that gamers will play a FIFA or Fortnite. They have one main franchise, but then they want breaks from those games to play something that's maybe 5 or 10 hours long. Now that actually sounds like, we want to make smaller games to appeal to more people, which does sound quite good. I do think he's right. For much of the FIFA fan base, they will predominantly play FIFA.
Yeah.
Like that's their core game. They'll play it like every night, games as a service type thing. They'll go back to it over and over again. Same with Fortnite. So I do think that's quite accurate.
Yeah, I mean, accurate to those FIFA fanboys who just play FIFA and want a little bit of a break because it gets fucking boring or whatever. Yeah. Not a core gamer who plays loads of games or the newest game or the best games that come out. So he's talking specifically about the subscribers to the EA service there and how to appease them when they do go on their breaks. And this is maybe why is the context here that they're providing these indie games for those breaks in the service? Is that what he's saying?
I guess so, but like even if those games are targeted at the FIFA fans, if they're still good games, they're still good games. Like anyone can play. You don't have to stick with FIFA. And he goes on a bit more. We do see a future in doing more of these. We believe streaming is going to take gaming to new gamers and geographies. And there's the subscription business model, which is how all of us consume music and media now. I think that's a bit of a generalization, but it's not entirely inaccurate. You add those two together and the value proposition becomes very compelling. That's the big argument for streaming for a lot of these people, is that we can bring it to more people and everywhere, because everywhere has internet and not everywhere can afford a high-end gaming system or even a basic console. But I think everyone's neglecting that internet sucks in most places.
You can get away with sucky internet if you're streaming music.
Yeah.
Or if you install. I mean, what you happen to do is you download the music. If your internet isn't good enough to even stream the music on Spotify, you can add it to your offline library and listen to it for 30 days and then reconnect or whatever. Like there's ways to deal with that. I can't see how you're going to be able to do with that using a streaming service for games, because they're just so big and you need such a better internet connection as well as a lag-free connection. It doesn't matter if it's fast, if there's like packet loss or whatever. If it's a bad connection, then again you're having problems.
Yeah, on Spotify, if I click play and it takes a second to actually compute, it's a bit frustrating, but I can live with it. If I'm playing a shooter and I press the button to shoot,
if you're frustrated with music delay, and
exactly,
pissed off with the game,
it's just not acceptable. It will be eventually, but we're not there yet, I don't think. Then he carries on a bit more. We have learned from Netflix and others that the real value is when your family can take advantage of it, where you may have 4 people in your household. I do kind of get that. I think that's a good market to kind of go for.
Yeah,
because as gamers get older, gamers start having kids. Like, you're a perfect example. Your kids are probably a bit young to be as like into it as.
Oh, they'll bang into Netflix.
Yeah. So eventually they'll get more into, let's say hardcore gaming, real gaming. But right now they're probably not as into it.
I mean, my daughter surprised me. She's 8 years old. She plays Roblox all the freaking time. All the time. She loves it. She sits there playing it. But yeah, you're right. And when it comes to games, I mean, if you can stream games and have an account where multiple players can play at the same time like you can on Netflix, then there's the value there. But if it's limited to one user per time, unless you upgrade, it's probably what they're going to do. And have a family account like they do on Spotify, for example. You like one account's tenner and then £15 for the an extra family member. It's probably more like what they're going to be doing. But I mean, I guess it kind of works if you're into it.
Yeah, like I get that there is a market for that, but I'm not in that. And I don't know how many gamers are. And how gamers are of all different ages. So
how fast would your internet need to be to have 2 people streaming a game at the same time? Exactly. If it doesn't even handle one.
The world's just not ready for it yet.
I mean, they want it to be ready because they can make more money. I understand where they're coming from. I understand that they want that. But it's just like, I mean, we still struggle right now with internet. Like, we have outages, we have dips, whatever, and I mean, until internet is like running water from a tap, and you know, until it's like that sort of utility, it's just not going to be usable.
Yeah. And that's absolutely the next step, not just for gaming, but general infrastructure. Internet is as important as, well, this is a bit of an exaggeration, but as important as like water or gas. Like you say, basic utilities that you need in your house. You need internet for a lot of people, not just for leisure, but for work. Yeah. Like, we obviously live on the internet. It's what we do. So, and then I quite like this next one, where he says, that's why, as we look at EA partners and originals and even the games we make, we're not just delivering games in one specific genre. We need big games, small games, multiplayer games, co-op games, single-player games. We need depth and breadth to satisfy the whole household. Now, that sounds good. It's like, you're doing a bunch of different kinds of games, but EA aren't doing that. You're making the same games as a service multiplayer things that some people like, but if you're trying to diversify, you're not going to hit everyone.
Yeah, so this is EA partners and originals. This is what they're trying to bolster their subscription library. Yeah, with all these different type of games, and he thinks, is that what he thinks, that maybe these indie size games will fill this gap in their library, just to fulfill the desire for FIFA games to take a 4-hour break off a bloody game. I mean, if that's the reason that they're making these games, then are they the type of games that we want to be playing? If they're just pitching it for these people who are having a 4-hour break off FIFA?
Yeah, just a simple little mobile game, essentially. It's a pastime. But if it ends up that we do get a bunch of these different kinds of genres of games that are decent, I'm happy about it, because more games is great.
I mean, more games is better, because you can take your pick. You can either like it or lump it. 10 smaller games, indie games like this, is it equivalent to 2 decent AAA awesome games? I mean, what would you rather? Well, that's the question, isn't it? Would you rather than putting full effort into full AAA games on a smaller amount, or just have the scattergun effect? Yeah, and just go for lots of games with lots of smaller games. Yeah, that's an interesting question.
And carries on. The game that creators are going to make is going to evolve based on what people are consuming on. That's why it's exciting to be part of both. So that's quite an interesting concept, because that's kind of about the Google Stadia and the idea that they've been saying, oh, we've got the highest end hardware. We're going to be the pinnacle of gaming tech because we can constantly evolve our data center, and then it just streams to you. You don't have to worry about the technical side. So that means that developers can build to the higher end hardware. Yeah. Which does sound cool, but again, it hinges on the principle of whether or not Stadia works, and whether or not a lot of people get behind it, because no developer's going to bother building to the high-end system if no one has that.
Yeah, it's part of what's been holding games back over the way that it's structured historically is that developers will build to the consoles, the current generation of consoles. They'll build to this hardware that's in the PS4, the Xbox 360. And, I guess you can go like hard on the PC hardware and just develop a game for like the high-end PCs and stuff like that. But for many people, they sell loads more on consoles. So that's kind of where the benchmark is in terms of the hardware that developers have been used to working to, like the top end. And PC gamers have felt the brunt of that, because games haven't developed or progressed as fast as we'd probably like them to be. Like, we're only talking now about 60 frames per second, like 4K on the next generations of consoles, whereas we've had that on PC for years and years and years. Yeah. And now if this Google Stadia thing does take off, that would be one big benefit. Yeah. It would push the boundaries of what limitations that developers have in terms of generating these games, like high graphical fidelity, high frame rates, this ray tracing push that they're going for, like just all the best technology will be able to improve and go so much faster because there's a market for it. Yeah, it's just a question of whether or not Stadia can withstand it. Yeah, and it would be a good. I mean, you can't deny that would be a good thing for the industry. Theoretically, great.
Then there's another one here, which is kind of an interesting one. I was in his office waiting for Andrew Wilson as he walked in, and I had my head in my hands, and he asked, "What's wrong?" I was like, "My brain hurts. We had concluded that this is the future." I think he's talking about streaming there. This is streaming is the future. Then Google came along and announced something that we weren't expecting. So now we're not so sure. It's stressful but exciting. So that kind of feels like Stadia was announced. Google kind of shocked everyone with that, and EA have been a bit like, shit, this is exactly what we wanted to do, but they're doing it first.
Yeah, but, and then you've got like Amazon doing it. You got Microsoft doing it. You've also got
PlayStation are working with Microsoft to do something.
So many different players thinking about that in the industry, and now EA, their heads hurt. Poor them.
Yeah,
I'm going to paracetamol.
He says another bit just before that about like the bloke who has his job like 8 years ago. It's like, what does he even do? Like what did you do? Because I'm so stressed about all this new stuff. Like, what were you doing back then? So altogether, this article isn't a hit at EA saying we're not the bad guys. That's what a lot of YouTubers and other outlets have extrapolated. Because it's not really about that. It's mainly about what's his name, Matt Bilby, talking about their indie push and the EA Originals program and stuff, which all does sound nice.
There are parts of it that sound nice, yeah.
Yeah, and that ties in with we're not the bad guys. Look at all this good stuff we're doing.
Yeah.
But you might, Mr. Matt Bilby, clearly have a good way to spin things. You can make it sound good, but you can't hide all of the bad things you've done with a few little good things that might theoretically be good.
And you're right there. It's all about spinning.
Yeah.
And making themselves out to be good, trying to get some positive PR. And the other thing that I always question with EA is motives. It's the thing. Well, first thing I always question for everything. What is their motive, right? Their motive for making these indie games is for keeping the FIFA players happy when they're, you know. I mean, how does that benefit me? I don't give a fuck about that. I mean, that's their justification for making these games. They're not doing it for the good of the industry, for the good of us. They're doing it to keep their FIFA players subscribed to this service so that they don't get freaking bored. And that's what smells of shit for me. It's, I mean, you can't pull the wool over my eyes. I'm always highlighting this shit and noticing it. But yeah, I mean, let's hope they do good things. Whatever reason they do it for, I guess if it turns out good in the end and we all get better for it, like Google Stadia thing, if it pushes game development in the right direction, let's support it for that. Otherwise, you know,
I mean,
it might not be for me, but
their motive is always to make money. But if them making money ends up making good games anyway, I'll take the good games, to be honest. Everyone's always like, oh, I wish EA would just shut down and close and everyone gets fired. I don't want that, because I want them to use their resources and incredible funding for marketing, and they've got good people working there, like developers and that. Take all that and make something good. I don't want you to not exist. I want you to just do the right thing.
Stop being evil.
Get rid of Andrew Wilson.
And on that note, that concludes our conversation about EA today. And on the topic of motives and what they are, whether they're good or bad, or whether you believe them or not, we'll move on now to our next topic, which is Steam stunting the industry? Now, this is what Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney seems to think, as well as a handful of other developers, that Steam is stunting the industry with their 30-70 revenue split. For those who don't know, Steam take 30% from every sale or microtransaction or anything that goes through Steam Store. 30% tax on the developer only makes 70%. And a lot of the time, apparently, developers don't even make as much as Steam take on each transaction. So let's get into the meat of this then. So this was Tim Sweeney on Twitter about a week ago now, but the conversation has changed since then. So let's go back to then. And he was saying, I'll surmise what he says rather than read all his tweets, because it can be pretty boring and or whatever. So in a string of tweets, he said, firstly, exclusives are the only way to permanently change the industry and disrupt the 30-70 split status quo. That's his goal. That's what he's trying to achieve with this Epic exclusivity thing. That's ultimately what motivates him. Not money. It's not about making profit. It's about hitting Steam and changing the industry for the good of the industry. I mean, if you could believe that on face value, it's a noble cause.
Exactly.
Right?
It's very much, we're the heroes. We're doing God's work,
we're
helping
down the bad guy.
Yeah, exactly. But
we give robbing from the rich, giving to the poor, right?
Yes, exactly. Robin Hood, Tim Sweeney, Robin Hood.
Tim Sweeney is Robin Hood. That'll be a new title for the podcast. So that he believes he's Robin Hood now, right? It's nothing to do with establishing his own business in the industry to make loads more money for himself.
Yep, of course not.
He doesn't mention that.
Nope.
He's Robin Hood, okay? So but he has publicly stated in the past that if Steam abandon abandon his exclusive strategy if Steam ditched the 70-30 model. Now, he said that in the past, but then again, he has said that he will be slowing down on exclusives in the past, but then they went back on that. So can you believe that? I don't know.
If Valve ever do change their policy, it'll be really interesting to see if Epic go, shit, we've put our money where our mouth is, now what are we going to do?
Okay, so again, back to his tweets. He says that EA, Activision, and Ubisoft have all failed to reach just 5% of the scale that Steam has, after years of trying establishing their own launchers and stores, right? And those are big corporations. They haven't even taken a dent out of Steam over all the years. So he's saying that this strategy of having exclusives is the only strategy that does work, and it does in fact work. And he says, well, it's not what he says, but Metro Exodus we've seen recently was an Epic Store exclusive, and that's even though that was exclusively on Epic, it wasn't available on Steam with a larger installed player base, still broke franchise records despite being an Epic exclusives. World War Z also sold more than 700,000 units on the Epic Games Store alone recently, which is another win for that developer. So the people who go an exclusive on Epic are seeing the benefits of it. They're not seeing a huge they're not selling loads less because they're not on Steam.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see in like a year's time or whatever. Well, because Metro came out in February, I want to say, and it's a timed exclusive, right? For I think it's a year.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see in February 2020 whether or not any figures come out for if Steam sales of that game have been like massive, because like essentially getting a second wind, getting a whole new release to an entire extra market of even more people will be really interesting to see if we actually get any numbers from that.
Yeah. So the strategy of exclusives work. He's growing the Epic Store install base. 700,000 players played World War Z. Loads of people played Metro Exodus, as well as the countless other Epic Store exclusivities. They're bringing players into the Epic Store ecosystem. And then he goes on, will the 88-12 split benefit gamers? Now, 88% is what the developers make on Epic Store, and 12% is what the Epic Games Store takes as their cut, as opposed to the 30% that Steam takes. So 18% more go to the developers. And to answer the question whether it benefits us as gamers by these developers having more profit from their sales, he states 3 reasons why it's good. Firstly, that the developers can reinvest that extra money into more games and future games. Brings more games to the industry, like we mentioned earlier, is a good thing for all of us. Secondly, more profit for them as developers. Not a benefit for us, but stability for the companies generating games, kind of as a knock-on effect. It's kind of, again, 2 kind of knock-on effect. We see the benefit residually in these first 2.
And it's like supporting art and creativity, so people are going to... It's better for creative industries if they have more money in them.
Definitely better for the industry as a whole, right? Those first 2 things. But the third and final benefit, which is a benefit to us, is that developers can lower the price on their games. So we could get games potentially cheaper and developers could still make more money. I mean, we've discussed in the past the margins. We could maybe see, I think it's on a $60 game, if it's $10 cheaper, they still make $2 more per sale on the Epic Store than they would on... They'd make $2 more and we'd get it for $10 cheaper. I think it's something along the lines of that. So that's his big pitch as to Steam bad, we good. This is his...
I promise.
This was his latest kind of PR campaign against Steam. this latest channel. Like, honestly, what we're doing is good for you guys. I mean, I'll go out there and say it. I'm an Epic Store neutral. I've never been totally in favor of it or totally against it. The same with Steam. I'm never affiliated with any corporation because at the end of the day, they're just out there to make money. They don't really have our best interests at heart as much as they might say they do in Epic's case. But so therefore, yeah, I'm neutral. Steam can, you know, can be great or be not. I mean, I'll still play games. It doesn't really bother me. I'm not a fanboy for any big corporation. Is what I'm trying to say.
Games first.
Doesn't make sense. Does it?
I'll play where I can get a good game.
Yeah, but the crux of what he's trying to say is that the 30% taxation is stunting the prosperity of the industry. Maybe he's right. Maybe he is right. But we don't entirely believe that he's doing it for all the right reasons, right? Yeah.
Again, it's if we get good things out of it, does it really matter why they did it?
Yeah, exactly. End justifies the means, right?
Exactly. Do the ends justify the means?
I don't know.
It's an interesting question, and I feel like we'll only know once if Steam and Valve do lower their thing, if the industry does see a change and all these developers have extra money and then the games get better because they can reinvest it and all that sort of stuff.
Well, he's hoping that it's a knock-on effect, not just Steam. He hopes that it'll be the rest of the industry too, like maybe PlayStation, Microsoft, whatever platforms that you get games bought on, essentially. He hopes that it's an industry-wide change that he's trying to initiate here. But, you know, I doubt that. I very much doubt that's going to happen. But anyway, backing him up was Paradox Interactive's executive chairman of the board, Frederick Wester. We talked about this in the news nugget on Tuesday. But he was talking at Game Lab 2019. I mentioned it briefly in the news nugget. And he said, he was quoted as saying, "I think the 70-30 revenue split is outrageous. I think the platform holders are taking too much money, even in the press. Everyone in the press here, just quote me on that."
He's very confident in what he's saying in a public forum.
And he said that back in the 70s, Warner Brothers were the ones who established the 70-30 as an industry.
For like distributors and stuff.
Distributors of VHS tapes, right? And because they had to pay for the physical production of the VHS tapes, now Steam doesn't have to pay for the physical production of fuck all.
Of anything.
But there are still people, you see it on Reddit and the PC gaming subreddit, that they justify like, they need, Steam's such a better game store that they need that 30% in order to cover costs. How the fuck do you know that, right? And if Epic Store can provide some sort of service, they're growing. They're not the same standard of service as Steam right now, but they're trying to get there. And if they can provide selling you games selling game service for 12% cut in revenue, and Valve can't because they've got too many overheads, that's fucking Valve's lookout. That's Valve's bad money management. That's them being over bloated and not having the correct, then. And if the question is that, look, Valve can't operate at a 12% cut, they need 15, need 20%, then they need to make the decision. Do they cut back on staff, reduce the amount of service they offer to be competitive with Epic, or does they carry on and then having people or customers know that they're paying a premium just for the Steam services or whatever, the Steam, see how good Steam is. It's all business, right? And for people to go on Reddit and justify, Valve need to charge more because they've got the overheads. Don't justify them as businesses. That's just them being greedy. You justify people being greedy, taking more money off us, then, whose side are you on here? Yeah. It doesn't make any sense to be like that. I never get that.
You can like Steam, obviously. You can like Epic. You can have loyalty to either. But be realistic. They're both after your money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
equally. And they don't need you being a fanboy and backing them up. They certainly
because they won't do it for you.
Yeah. Anyway, the quotes go on. I think Epic has done a great job for the whole industry because you get 88%. Fantastic move. Thank you very much. I think it is, especially for new developers. They have lower margins to get into the market, but I think it's also a matter of decency. talking about morality here, right? I mean, how much does it actually cost to deliver a game? Basically, what we just touched on there. Does it cost 33%? You're talking every $60 sale, they're taking, what, $18? $18 per $60 sale. Is that reasonable? Really think about it. $18 for a transaction where they take your money, they send you a code or activate a game on your account. Is that worth $18 every single time? I don't think it is. I mean, I know how I feel. I don't think that's...
Yeah, but I don't know how Steam's infrastructure explicitly works and all that, but in my mind, someone uploads the game, and that's essentially the job done. You just need to maintain it and make sure the transaction
service,
transaction still goes through. It all runs properly. All the text is right and the layout is fine. But once it's on there, most of your job is done, and I doubt that takes that much work.
A lot of it is automated.
Yeah. So much of it is automated. So
there you go. Taking a pop again. When the competition is low, the platform holder can get a big share of the pie. As competition increases, they need to lower their part of the pie as well. That's how the market works, right? Again, this is business, right? It's basic fundamentals of business, supply and demand, right? When the supply is low, competition is low, the demand is high, you can charge more. And that's what Steam have seen. They see that they've got a monopoly on the marketplace, and they have done for years and years and years. And because they've got the monopoly on it, they can do whatever they want. They're a tyrant. They can be a law unto themselves. When the competition increases, they've got to be more competitive, and this is what Tim Sweeney justifies his exclusives push on, and this is something that I strongly believe in. If competition brings always brings people to justify themselves, just have to be better, because otherwise someone will go to competition. You need to have options for consumers in order for them to have the best service.
Yeah, competition forces you to improve what you've got to make your good or service better than the other person's.
Yeah, it's something I strongly believe in, and this is this is what they're trying to change in the industry. And I think if Epic do become competitive, I'm not an Epic fanboy, I've said it before, I'm neutral. But if they become competitive, then it'll be good for the gamers. It'll be good because Steam will ultimately have to improve what they're doing in order to compete again. Anyway, another developer at this, conference was it called? I forget now. It's the Game Lab 2019, right? Dan DaRocha, creator of indie hit Cube, he says that 80-12 split is a huge 88-12 split is a huge boon. It's a huge advantage in some cases. That 30% taken is more than the profit for a small studio. That's crazy, right? That's a huge incentive for some of us. So justifying why devs want to see Epic Games Store succeed. And I totally sympathize with them, because they're in between a rock and a hard place a lot of the time. There's so many fans that they might have had on the previous games on Steam, waiting for the next game to launch. But then Epic are here trying to do good for the industry as a whole, although it might not be their main... It's their public...
Yeah.
It's what they're trying to do publicly, but it's still going to help them, even if it's for the wrong reasons, that it's still going to help them out if Epic do well. So do they support Epic publicly, go exclusive with them, risk upsetting the established fans, or do they just stick with the Steam and just ride it out because, for the fear of upsetting people? Yeah. It's a really difficult decision to make.
It's definitely safer to stay with Steam, because you're not going to get criticized by your fans, who are the people who are the most important thing to you, because so many times they're like, oh, we've signed exclusivity with Epic, oh, you're a fucking sellout, you're greedy, blah blah blah, when it's like, well, there's so many other things going on. That absolutely is a valid argument in some cases. No doubt so many go, oh, fuck Steam, we're going to go here just because we get more money and I can have a hooker and cocaine party. That's going to be really, really fun. But I don't really believe that's much of the case very often anyway.
Yeah. I remember the time before Steam, right? I remember when games were just icons on my desktop, right? And then Steam came in and it was all the rage. And play this game, I have to install this Steam, and I have to launch it every time I'm playing a game. What people forget is Steam is essentially the very first DRM for PC game stores, right?
Yeah.
This is something that a lot of people fight against now. Oh, DRM, fuck Denuvo, fuck DRM and that. But you're supporting Steam in the same sentence. It's like, I mean, why are you affiliated with or aligned with these big corporations in this way? What are they doing? Are they like walking your dog for you? do they wash your dishes or something? What? I'm missing something here. Why are people so? Anyway, I wouldn't miss Steam if it went away. All these features in Steam, like the friends list and the achievements and all that, I don't give two fucks about that. I do not give two fucks. I would go back to having icons on my desktop tomorrow, which is why I've adopted GOG 2.0 since I've had I don't miss Steam one bit.
Yeah, I think when we covered that, someone put a comment up saying something like, so GOG Galaxy 2.0 is essentially a shortcut for shortcuts or something. Gotcha. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah. And it's still inconvenient because you can't launch games in your Steam store library without launching Steam because it's a DRM. Because that's what it is, right? And yet people, I don't know. I'm just not affiliated to anyone. If anything, I'm neutral to Steam. I enjoy the service, but I couldn't give two shits. I'm neutral to Epic. I don't really enjoy the service, but again, I don't give two shits. GOG, I'm positive about because it doesn't force me to have DRM. There's no DRM there, right? If there's one store that I'm positive about, it's GOG.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what their split is. They've not come out and said. I'm assuming it's something along the lines of Steam's. I mean,
they have far fewer games because of the lack of DRM, so they will actually need to subsidize it somehow.
Yeah,
because Steam have so much on there.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of please try and do the right thing for the whole industry. Come to Epic Store, even though you might not like it, for the right reasons. I don't know. I mean, is it convincing anybody that they're trying to do it for the right thing? The other thing, the very last thing before we move on, this could run a little bit long, but Tim Sweeney also confirmed that Epic Games will be personally refunding Shenmue 3 Kickstarters so that EaseNet, who are the developers, don't go out of pocket themselves, because there was a huge backlash to them signing an Epic Store exclusivity deal after being kickstarted, which the fans were not happy with. I bought this game on Steam, damn it. Also, there was physical promised, which now the physical disc is going to come just with an Epic Game installer on it.
Which is such a joke.
But Tim Sweeney's like, I'm the good guy, I'm Robin Hood, I'll dish out the money, I'll do the good thing for the industry. Ding!
Although, where were you like 2 weeks ago when this was a problem?
Well, he must be seen as the hero.
That's true. He's got a
swinging in from from the trees, like the hero that he is, Mr. Tim Sweeney. Yeah, right. Okay.
It's one of the reasons I'm still a physical fan, because you get your disc and that's it. Just put it in your machine. Console scrub is one of the few advantages of being a console scrub. Is it's so simple.
Yeah.
You put a game in, you're basically done. Maybe you have to update.
So there you have it. There was a lot of industry talk to begin with. How do you feel? Do you think the 70-30 is outrageous? Do you give two shits? Are you still defending Steam despite me pointing out that it's not all glamorous as you would like other people believe? Why would you? On a serious note, like, why would you defend the 70-30 split? Honestly, why would you say that 30% is what they need, right? How do you know that, right? Do you know how much expenditure that they've got? Do you know their overheads? Like, why would you defend that? I mean, it's a serious question. I'm being a bit joking, a bit flippant about it. But please, if you've got a reasoned answer, I'm a reasonable guy. I like to listen to how people feel about the situation and then make my own mind up, informed wise. If you've got any information that I'm missing, because I clearly don't see why you defend a company like that, just let me know in the comments, because I swear I will not go at you unless you make it personal, and then yeah, look out.
Hell hath no fury.
So there we go. Let's talk about games. Days Gone.
Days Gone. So in case you weren't aware, Gaz and I really like Days Gone. A lot of reviews didn't like it or were kind of lukewarm on it for a number of different reasons. There's a bunch of technical issues which are a bit of a pain. The game's really weirdly paced. The whole opening is just kind of odd, but then it starts ramping up. It gets really good, even with its white male grab protagonist. Blah, blah.
Yeah.
But they just released a big update over the weekend, I believe it was. I can't remember which day, but it's quite a hefty one. 17, 18 gig.
That's a big update.
Pretty beefy.
But it's free.
It's free.
It's free. You don't have to pay for it. It's that much content. How much coding do they have to do for like 17 to 18 gig? That's a lot of work, right? Yeah. That's just not something that you can copy and paste from elsewhere. They're adding a huge update to this game, and it's free. That's great.
And so it came with a bunch of like bug fixes and stuff, but the main one was adding a challenge mode. There's a series of challenges, but only one of them is available because they're supposed to be adding them over time, rolling them out.
Right.
So the first one is called Surrounded Mode, and this is what my video was on earlier this week. And it's my favorite thing about it is because the best thing about Days Gone is the hordes. It's what everyone latched onto when we first saw it at E3 2016, I think. Millions of zombies coming at you, shooting them.
One of the biggest,
it's
unique
the
selling
draw,
points of the game,
right?
Even the reviews that were critical of the game said Hordes was fun. Yeah.
But the issue is once you've done them in the campaign, you can't do them again, and they're a bit few and far between at the beginning, because then they're not like dropped on the map. Sometimes you'll come across them, and that's really fun. But at the beginning, you've got terrible weapons, and you
can't even do them.
Yeah, it's not as enjoyable as it should be. But then by the end, it's great. So you've got decent guns, big MGs and whatnot.
Yeah.
This mode is essentially the perfect horde mode. It takes what everyone liked about it and built an entire mode around that. And it's such a no-brainer. I mean, other companies have done survival horde modes before. I've made a point in my my video about it where like Gears of War did a horde mode, which is just waves and waves of survival. And then every other game at the time did the same thing, just like every other game does a battle royale now.
Yeah.
So they're popular, but no one really does them anymore. And I really like them.
Adding these types of additional gameplay elements, gameplay modes, after the fact for free, it needs to be stated and sung from the rooftops that this is awesome, right? So many companies would charge for this type of stuff. And I think even this mode in itself, the horde mode, could be like an indie game. I'm not, if you take away the story, the narrative, the world, everything like that, right? This one arcade mode could be sold as a separate indie game in itself.
Yeah,
it's like some sort of concept where you're surviving versus a horde, and you incrementally upgrade your, like a roguelike type of thing. You could easily see that one slice being a game in itself sold for $20 or something,
no doubt.
Easily. And they've delivered this for free, not expecting anything. I always say credit where it's due. Criticize as much as you want, but credit where it's due. And this is the type of thing. Oh, you're just Sony fanboys. No, I'm just saying that I think this is awesome. If EA did it, I would also say it's awesome. Just like I said that the EA Originals thing is the best thing that they do. Give it credit where it's due.
Yeah, and it's quite a simple game mode. It's just survive. So I think you've got like a minute to survive at the beginning, which is like, that's not very fun. You can't last very long. But every kill you get adds time. So it creates this really great, very simple feedback loop of more kills you get, the more time you get, the more freakers come out, the more kills you get, the more time you get, and it keeps going in perpetuity.
I remember the old game I used to play called Outrun, right? And you had to get to the checkpoint before the time. It's like the same arcade races, isn't it? You get to the checkpoint before the time, you get extra time to go on. It's the same kind of thing. You've got to kill zombies in order to keep your game going.
Yeah, and because there's so many zombies, you can get up to a whole extra minute from just one wall of them coming at you. Just hold down the trigger, empty one whole magazine. You've got loads of extra time to then run away and collect stuff. There are a couple comments criticizing, this game doesn't look that fun because it's just running away from zombies. But that's kind of the tension of it, is that you're running away. You're trying to avoid them because they run faster than you run. But when you're sprinting, which you have a very limited amount of, you can outpace them and then you turn and shoot them. And the shooting's, because they've given you decent guns now, the shooting's so much more fun because they actually drop and you can kill loads of them instead of shooting and nothing's really happening. There's no impact. And you got no ammo, so you got to reload all the time.
Yeah, I think that is the beauty of this horde mode, is that it is tense.
Yeah,
it's that scrabbling, just managing to survive by the skin of your teeth type of scenario. That survival element, that type of gameplay that I really enjoy. And I think, like I said, it is the highlight of the whole game itself, and they've kind of condensed it and made it into this one mode. I think it's perfect. It's awesome. It really is.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of like little extra things, like you can equip different skins, which changes you from Deacon, who's your default. You can be Boozer, Nikki, or Iron Mike, who are all in the campaign, as well as like a generic Nero soldier person. And then there's a few others that are like grayed out because you can't unlock them yet, because you need to be high level, or they're coming in other challenges and stuff. I really like that.
So this is the first of a bunch of challenges coming.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're weekly, but
awesome.
It might just be the sub challenges within this challenge. Because in this one there's survive. That's the challenge, survive. But then there's these sub challenges, which are like collecting ears, because that's your currency in the main game. You collect as many ears as you can. I think it's like 250, and I got so close. I got to 244, then they got me. I was really annoyed. Got to use traps. Scrub, yeah. You got to use traps, use the explosive barrels, and get 100 kill combo, and that's really fucking hard. I didn't even kill
100 in one go?
Yeah, well,
with the trap.
Yeah, in like not in one move, but like without like interrupting kind of thing. So shoot, trigger a trap, shoot a barrel, while that's going on, reload, carry on shooting. I don't know how high I managed to get because I was too busy stressing out not getting eaten.
I think the more that you do it, though, the more you'll learn like the pinch points in the map, and like if you draw them through the pinch points, and then so you can just take out so many, and you can learn the routes and whatever. And then when they start spawning, or where they come from when they're chasing you, because you notice that at some points they come over the wall. Yeah, they're right behind you, but then others will come over the wall, and you're like, "Fuck, I'm getting surrounded."
They really flank you, and that's one of the strengths of the Horde, is they're not just one unit; they will branch off to outflank you and stuff. But one of my problems with it is that, and I imagine it's probably going to come into a later challenge, is that you can't sneak through and set up traps. You can't plan a route. Yeah. It's very much the raw Horde. It's that core mechanic.
Ready, set, go.
Yeah, exactly. Ready, set, go. You run down the stairs and start shooting and hope for the best.
Yeah.
And you can get you to your bike in it, and I did that in the gameplay. Because I was like, my bike's there. I can see it on the map. Let's go to it. Bike doesn't work. Bike's broken.
You need scrap.
So
they said it.
Yeah, but I'm not. But I haven't got time to pick up scrap. I'm busy trying to. It's hard enough trying to pick up ammo.
Well, you've got like 5 or 10 seconds before they're on you. At the very beginning, right? So if you run to a car, maybe you use that time to shiv open.
It. But then I only wanted the bike to get away, to get a bit of space. It's not like it does any real damage.
Yeah.
But I reckon they're probably going to add some bike-based challenges later on, like time trials or races or stuff, which could be cool. Because the bike, it's another massive part of the game, and it handles so well. It's one of the best handling bikes I've played in a long time, and it's one of the only games where, and this links to a Discord question later on, where I didn't just have the trigger down the entire time, like four foot to the floor, just like just gently, cruise around and go around those turns and then accelerate. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it is good. It is very good, and it makes sense that they turn that into some sort of challenge. What else would you think? I mean, there's a bike challenge, there's a horde challenge.
Probably something to do with there's human enemies that you could deal with, like going through their camps and outposts and whatnot.
That'd be awesome.
That's quite a simple one.
That's true.
I think if they give you a really stripped back horde mode where like drop in and you have nothing, no items, no weapons, a bit smaller, proper survivor mode type deal, I think that could be really cool. You can get like patches and rings which are represented on Deacon, but not on the others. I don't think. I had a quick look, but I couldn't see him.
Patches for his
your bike jacket, and they appear like on his side. It's not the big one on his back. That's still there, and they've got like stat buffs. Like I've got a ring which something like every time you roll, you recover a bit of stamina. Yeah, which is so helpful. Yeah. Like as soon as I switched that on, I was like, this is so much better.
I think I read one of the comments that those carry over to the main game. Is that true?
Yeah, I think so.
If you unlock them.
Yeah, so your patches and stuff will be shown off in the main game. I don't know if their stats do, but I reckon they probably do if you can see them. But apparently your in-game story mode progress doesn't then refer back into the challenge mode. So many upgrades you have don't really make a difference.
Right.
Which is a little annoying, but it might just have been that I was out of practice, but I didn't feel as strong or as fast as I was in the main game, because I could run for ages by the end. Once you're fully upgraded, you're a machine. Well, I think that's pretty much all I've got to say. I mean, there's the video itself where you can go watch the gameplay, where I like to think I did quite well.
Yeah, you did really well. It was a good video, and a lot of people enjoyed it. Congratulations,
good,
Mr. Henry Cooper.
Good feedback.
I think that we could do more of those types of gameplay videos in future, maybe with two of us. Yeah. And I think featuring games that have new content is a great idea, because there's so many of them, so little new games coming out, especially this time of year.
Yeah.
We can't always, and so many other people cover those new releases. Not a lot of people cover the updated content in games. So if you've got any games which you would like to see us play or play some updated content on, leave us some suggestions in the comments, and we'll take a look, because based on the success of that video, I think we'll be doing that more in future.
Yeah, and especially because this is so arcadey, you can turn it into like a head-to-head type thing, like so you can get the best score type deal.
True.
And I think someone did comment.
You want to go head-to-head?
Well, I mean, someone did comment, we need to get Gaz to do this so he can embarrass himself or something like that. So the gauntlet has been
fighting
thrown.
Talk, man. That is fighting talk. Do you think I ever fail at anything, guys? Anything? I'll leave that to your imagination.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll just let the commenters hang with that one.
On that note, we're going to take a very short break, and we'll be back right after this very short break that you won't even notice. Welcome back. We are now suitably refreshed after our lunch break, which you didn't even notice because it went by in the blink of an eye. Now, next point of discussion, I guess next section in this podcast, is the Discord questions. Now, the questions that come in from the Discord are from our patrons, the guys who support us, the people who enable us to continue making content on YouTube. Now, if you want to support the content as well, head over to patreon.com/prettygoodgaming, and you can support the channel from as little as $1 a month. We can get access to the podcast early for a couple of days. You can also get access to the Discord. You can converse with us. I'm actually about to start Fantasy Football League for next year. Surprise look in your eye. For those of you who are interested, we did it last year. There was 10 participants on the Discord for the Fantasy Footy League, and I haven't had a bad start. It was my first year in the fantasy football. Like, I was learning the ropes, so I had a bad start. But then I ended up finishing second and raring to go for the new season. So if anyone is interested in participating in the Pretty Good Gaming Fantasy Football League, we're talking soccer here for you Americans. It's the English Football League, Fantasy League. If you're interested in pitting your wits against Evans 11, as my team will be called this year, feel free, head into the Discord. It's the Fantasy Football tab. As well as on the Discord, you've got the Bad Dad Jokes channel, which is infamous by now. And all the other chat channels and stuff like that. So
you better get the apostrophe in the right place in your Evans 11.
Yeah, it's after the S.
Yeah, you're right.
Fucking nailed it already. I can show you.
Have you
nailed it already.
Designed a kit?
Well, I nailed it already.
Have you got sponsors?
No, we're still working on those. Sponsors are a tricky thing. We know that from experience. So let's go with the first question. And who do we have, Henry?
We've got one from Earth1 Ben. Now, this one sounds like a real good conspiracy. It sounds great. At Gaz, do you believe the rumours that Randy Pitchford has left the US and is laying low at the moment? I like to think that he's hiding out in like Argentina or Cuba, somewhere in South America, trying to
somewhere where his shirts fit in.
Yeah,
somewhere like Cuba or something.
Yeah.
Where he just like blend into the crowd because of his garish fashion sense.
Right.
I love that. Yeah, smoking a cigar, walking the street, like blending into everyone else because they're all like 60.
Be a street performer with his magic tricks to earn money. People throwing it into his.
I can believe it.
Yeah.
I can absolutely believe it.
I don't know where you've got this from, Earthworm Ben, because I've never heard it, but I love it. I love that this that this is a rumor.
He's still active on Twitter. He's retweeting people.
No, they've got internet in Colombia or wherever.
Yeah,
he'll be all right.
Yeah. I mean, whatever country has the largest proportion of criminals and thieves and tricksters and hustlers, that's where it fit in the most. That's where it just blend into the.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying which country that is because I'm not going to profile any country in particular here, but I'm sure you can leave your suggestions, really. Where you think he is? In the comments.
Oh, man.
Okay, that's a great question. Moving on. Cloney99. Not a time-sensitive question, but checking my emails and deleting the weekly updates on what we did in our games, I noticed something. Are you, too, annoyed by game developers linking their live service terminology to Chinese zodiac signs? Every other email I opened was, join us in the Year of the Pig. Get cards for the Year of the Raven. Make way for my one-eyed snake.
Well, hey.
Well, I mean, if that's not a decent
I think you might have read the wrong email there, buddy.
Receive 10% bonus on the one-eyed snake if you log in now and receive a free loot box surprise mechanic. I think he's embellishing a little bit there. I mean, seriously, I don't care what year Overwatch is celebrating. I play the game to shoot folks and move payloads.
I love how much this has upset you. You're so bothered by Chinese zodiac signs in gaming emails specifically.
Yeah, it's just trying to hook people back into a game, isn't it? It's just
they'll
trying
do whatever they can.
Trying to trigger people to think, oh yeah, I remember that game. That sounds interesting. As soon as they log in, they're fucking hooked again and they've reeled them in. Yeah, that's all it is. It's just a psychological tactic. They're using your brain against you.
Don't fall for
marketing is. That's what marketing is.
Yeah, I don't think it particularly bothers me. But then again, I don't really play live services. But it comes through on any like marketing emails. Like, you bought this one T-shirt from this one site. Here, have 1 million emails, even though you clicked you didn't want them.
Yeah.
And that we're going to sell some bullshit to you that I don't care about.
Yeah, receive 10% bonus on the one-eyed snake if you log in now and receive a fruit loot box surprise mechanic. I'd click that.
I mean, again, you might have got the wrong email from the one-eyed snake there. But
thanks for your question, Cloney.
All right, next up, and I think we've had this question before, but I like it. I like talking about it.
I'm sure this at least a couple of times before. But
Vienticus Prime, is there any game, OST, or remix that you listen to outside of playing the game, i.e. in the car, working out? Gaz, can you play any music from a game on guitar? And if so, any chance we can get some video of you playing? Do you know any game music?
No, I haven't worked on any game music in the past. I could pick it up pretty easily. There's a song in the middle of Metro Exodus where he's sat there and his guitar, he's playing his guitar.
Oh yeah,
and it's like a train. It's like an instrumental piece, right?
Mm. Yeah, I can't remember who plays
slow.
it.
It's
one of the big guys.
Yeah, that'd be super easy to pick up. But I just haven't. It's just time. See, that's my problem. Time to do it. I haven't done in the past, and I do cover a lot of instrumental type music over my guitar channel. If you guys have got any requests for awesome game music that you would want me to cover, and you doubt that I'd be able to do it because challenge me, and I will accept it. And the best suggestion I may well cover, because it'd be an awesome crossover, right?
Yeah. I think you should do the Last of Us theme, because that's
everyone does that though. That's the problem.
That's the problem is that it's really
Skyrim,
everyone does it, but it's because it's really good.
Yeah, I get you.
We'll try and do the Doom soundtrack, which is all heavy, and electronic, but on a acoustic guitar with a few percussive parts.
Yeah. I can interpret it. Yeah. I can work on it.
Speaking of Doom, there's an answer to your first question. That's the one I often say. I'll listen to the Doom soundtrack all the time because it's awesome. A lot of it's quite ambient, so it fits really well in the background. But then a lot of it's quite like hard hitting and punching. And I listen to shuffle all the time. I very rarely listen to specific albums unless it's like just come out or something. So I get such a mix. Yeah. So I'll go from like a classical Beethoven track into Doom rip and tear or flesh and metal, and it just changes the pace.
I don't get how you can manage that from an emotional point of view, because it's such a roller coaster
ride. Keeps me on my toes,
isn't it? I like to listen to an album because usually it's in the same kind of emotional space. Yeah. Right. Yeah. When you're going from like something that's really hard to like a Beethoven kind of symphony or something. It can be. You can be in emotional turmoil listening to that kind of thing. I don't get it. Like I'm too sensitive, I guess.
That's the surprise mechanic I like. I like not knowing what's coming next.
Random thrash metal.
I won't always listen to it. I'll skip over it until I find what I am after, or I'll set up a queue.
That makes more sense to me.
Although back to the OST question. Recently, I've been listening to a lot of Vampire's soundtrack and A Plague Tale soundtracks. They're both by the same guy whose name is very French, and I think I got it wrong. Olivier Derary or something.
It sounds French enough. That's
Oliver Derary. Yeah, so they're really good.
Derary?
They're all...
talking about rolling your R's like a French.
Olivier Derary. Yeah, it's all like violins, and it's very spooky and moody. They're really good.
The one soundtrack that I listened to for a while, I don't think I do often anymore. Believe it or not, Stardew Valley soundtrack is really chilled. So chilled. I just listen to it in the background just to chill out.
Yeah.
That's the majority of the reason why I listen to music. I listen to really chilled music, right?
I never listen to chilled music, really. Sometimes,
a lot of the time,
but not often.
Yeah. I don't listen to music when I'm working out. I listen to like a podcast, or I'm playing a game. It sounds weird. I've been playing Hearthstone recently while working out. So in between sets, I've been like playing a couple of games because it's turn-based. It's easy. Yeah. You just do a couple of games and then, come back again after they've taken their turn. Turn-based game is ideal.
Yeah, you play your cards, you do a thing, come back, and they've wiped out your entire board because they've got better shit than you.
Yeah, usually that's what happens. Anyway, thanks for the question, Vienticus Prime. Next up, Superflea. One, in regards to Google Stadia, if they have such a small library at the start, despite have all current and past games to upload and stream with their system, doesn't this pose question to them being able to keep updated with all the games releasing on the platforms, etc., as new releases come out? People want to play on the day of release. I don't know. I think the game library is also to do with licensing and getting a deal in place with the games publishers. So if they don't have games, it's because of that. So I do believe once the Google Stadia has launched, that more publishers will want to be on all the platforms day one. So they'll facilitate that. They'll actively try and get their games on Google Stadia day one, because it's not a subscription, right? You pay for them. So the more platforms that your game's on, the more money you're going to make. So I don't see that problem. I don't see that being a problem. Maybe it will be. I don't know, but because it just run on PCs, right? It's just like installing the game on some hardware in like Silicon Valley or something, and then streaming it via Google servers. Yeah. I don't see that there's any technical barrier to putting a game on Google Stadia because it runs on PCs.
Yeah, basically that's the long and short of it. It's the same hardware. Well, that's perhaps a wrong way to word it. The same platform, just on better hardware, which you can just do on another thing. Just downscale it a little bit or whatever.
Hope that answers your question, Mr. Superflea.
Okay, we've got another one from Vienticus Prime here. How much do you want to bet that GOG 2.0 is a way for CDPR to get huge amounts of marketing information that they're investing money into an idea that is not only probably going to get them a return in sales, as you said, but also a return in the massive amounts of play data they'll be able to collect? Leads you to wonder, will GOG 2.0 be a gamer's haven, a gamer's Facebook, or somewhere in between? Trust no one. So is GOG a sinister way of CDPR getting a bunch of extra data that perhaps we might not want them to have?
Unfortunately, it's the way of the world. It's the risk you run using the internet these days. Any bit of data that is available to gather, people are going to be gathering because they can turn that data into potential revenue. Yeah. And that's just the way it is. That's just the way of the world. It's the information age.
If you're already on Facebook, which most people are, realistically, all your data's already gone anyway.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah, if
you're already
if you're on Facebook and worrying about the information that they've got on GOG,
you've got nothing to lose.
Yeah, you might want to sort Facebook profile out first. But yeah, it's always the risk. But then again, do we trust GOG with our info? It depends how much risk you think that putting your info out there. There's some people who are not bothered putting their info out and they just don't care. It's like everyone's going to have it anyway. There are people who are really kind of possessive over their info. It's like, I'm really scrutinise these websites to make sure that they're, I mean, I'm kind of meh about it. At some point, I realised that anyone's going to know everything about me. How they can use that information against me or for illicit means or for bad ends, I don't know. But then again, maybe I'm naive to that effect. I don't really worry about it too much. I just enjoy my life and don't stress.
Yeah, because there's not that much you can do about it once they've got it. Because even if you disable your account, they've still got it.
Yeah.
And I think that ship's kind of sailed.
Exactly. How far off the grid, living in a mountain in a hut, like amongst the trees, would you have to be in order for you to not have any sort of online imprint? For nobody to have profit off your information, it's just almost undoable these days. But unfortunately, it's the way of the world. Do we trust GOG more than anyone else? I don't know. Maybe not.
Certainly more than Facebook.
Yeah,
they are the absolute worst.
Thanks for the second question, Mr. Vienticus Prime.
What's next? Is it? I think it's you to read
Raven
this one.
Knight. Is it me reading this one?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, Raven Knight. Shag, marry, kill.
Triumphant return.
Badass Woman Edition Villanelle from Killing Eve. No idea who that is.
We're gonna have to
put a quick Google into that one. Dutch from Killjoys, whoever that one is, and finally Alice from Resident Evil Films. Okay. So
I know Alice.
I can hardly pronounce these ones.
Alice from Resident Evil is Mila Jovovich, and she's quite fabulous. And I've just typed into Google Alice Jovovich, so hopefully Google can figure that out. She's great. Those movies are shit, but in my opinion, they're the good kind of shit. Like, they're just dumb action movies, like Transformers. You've got to disconnect in your brain whether or not they're connected to the games at all, because they're just not. But I still enjoy them. They are shit though.
No, unfortunately, not seen Killjoys, not seen Killing Eve, and I mean,
I've seen her in other stuff. She's pretty cool. I can't remember what the actress's name is though. I think she actually shows up in Game of Thrones for a very minor role. But then again, everyone does.
I mean, you're talking about 3 pretty decent looking women here. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
I've got no preference, so unfortunately.
I think I'll shag Alice just because I think Mila Jovovich is pretty fit.
Hot.
She's a bit skinny for me. She's very, very thin, but it kind of works because she's like supermodel.
Yeah.
Thin. She's got quite like sharp features and stuff, so that kind of works. I do quite like this Killjoys person.
Yeah. She's
pretty good. But then the Killing Eve girl, I think she's very attractive, but I think she's a bit too scary, and she's a murderer, right? She's an assassin.
Right.
So I think I'm going to go marry Dutch from Killjoys, and unfortunately, I'm going to kill the girl from Killing Eve.
Yeah.
But she is fabulous nonetheless.
Dutch from Killjoys. She's sexy. Yeah. Let's agree with that.
Yeah.
Let's agree with that. Sorry for the bad answer there, Mr. Raven Knight, but that unfortunately those aren't franchises that we're particularly familiar with.
No. But keep the Shag, Marry, Kills coming. I think they're really fun.
Awesome.
Okay, what is next? Super Flea. Well, once again.
Second question.
2A and 2B. Or not 2B. Who is your most liked character in From Games? I assume you mean From Games, not in From Games as in From stuff. 2B, what boss/mini-boss battle did you enjoy fighting the most? For me, most liked character is Mordin Solis from Mass Effect. I'm not very familiar with Mass Effect, but I'm sure you'll know who that is.
Mordin.
And the best battle was Metal Gear in MGS1.
Yeah, Metal Gear MGS1 was a good
fight. All of the boss fights in MGS1 are good, but easily, and it's quite cliche and everyone says it, but my favourite in MGS1 has to be fighting Psycho Mantis. When he started reading my memory card, I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I was a kid, I pretended to be ill off school so I could carry on playing it. And he was like, put your controller on. Metal Gear's kind of weird and meta anyway. They say push the X button to do stuff. They know it's a game. But he's like, put your controller on the floor and through the power of my mind I will move it. I was like, oh yeah. All right, dickhead, I'll put it on the floor. What do you get? Oh shit, he's vibrating it. Oh, what the fuck? That's actually really clever game design. That's awesome. Love it. So I thought that was really, really cool. Most liked character from games. That could be, there's so many. I like so many different ones.
I like Deacon. I like Joel.
Yeah,
I like.
They're two that instantly come into my head.
I like. I don't like Arthur Morgan quite as much as John Marston.
I can't decide. I go up and down.
John Marston's the OG bad boy, man. I fucking love him.
Yeah,
those are my three favourites. You take your pick.
Arthur and John are cool.
I like those gritty kind of proper men.
Yeah,
like he don't say any shit.
Yeah, I like those guys. I always really liked Marcus from Gears of War because again, he's just like a burly bloke. But there's one bit in Gears 1 where you jump. It's right at the beginning. You hop on the helicopter and there's another soldier there. I think it's Anthony Carmine. He's like, "Oh well, you're the Marcus Phoenix who fought in Aspho Fields in this like legendary battle." And he's like, "Yeah, it's me." He's like, "Oh, whoa, that's so cool." And he just kind of goes, "No, not really." And that for a game series that's real, it's about you've got chainsaws on the end of guns. That's as violent as you can possibly get.
Yeah.
That little bit of subtlety really spoke to me. I really like that bit. But another one I also always go back to is I love Dante from Devil May Cry because he's so just cool. It's pizza, it's trench coats, it's swords, it's guns. He's just badass, and it's so like effortless. When other people have tried to recreate Dante in games, it comes off really cheesy and edgy, like trying to be edgy. He knows what he is. The developers know what he is, and they play it up, and he's exactly what he should be, and it's great.
Yeah. I don't think I have a favourite boss of all time. They escape me right now, but there we go. Hope that answers your question, Mr. Superflea. I think, is it me next?
Yeah.
Next up, Gaboris. Finally got around to watch the podcast, and thank you. I got the info I needed. Smiley face. So, guys, since you asked for my other questions, I'm back. But I'm still keeping to one subject at a time just to keep myself afloat in my wait for the beta. So, does Galaxy 2.0 have any form of store tracking functionality? As in, are there any new posts, events, or community interactions displayed within the library from any of the other storefronts or not? Even better question, can we keep track of wishlisted games? If yes, are things like the current price within the storefronts displayed for them? Thinking. Not in its current iteration is the answer to all those questions. It doesn't have store tracking that I've seen. You can't see the community from other you can news posts, events, or community interactions. I mean, there's your friends list. I mean, is the basically the extent of the community interactions. There's nothing like the features are on Steam, and there's no way to display the Steam info because that's a Steam store function, right? That's what Steam store does. GOG doesn't deliver that information. It's just a library for your games, so it doesn't work like that currently at all. Can we keep track of wishlisted games if there are things like current price with other storefronts? No, you can't do that, and I don't see them implementing that either because those are features of another launcher that they would be kind of ripping off and basically just echoing in their own launcher. It wouldn't make sense for them to promote games on store, wishlist games on a different store, because they won't be making money off those sales should you go through and purchase them. So it wouldn't make sense for that, which is a bit of a drag if you're interested and you like those functionalities in the Steam store. So I'm guessing that GOG will never implement that kind of thing. So unfortunately not is the answer to your question, Mr. Gaboris, and thank you for the question again this week.
All right, on to our
very last question.
Final question. It's just one this week from Metal Sharks.
It was almost none.
Yeah,
I had to convince him.
Yeah. I
was like, what about Henry? He's going to be listening to your questions.
You always throw me the
He was like, oh, go on then. If I have to. I was going to put my feet up and everything. I was like, come on, you got it.
You always throw me the techie questions that I don't know the answer to, but I've got a slightly better answer to this one. So
I was like, test Henry. See what he knows.
I can tell you the answer to the test. I don't know anything.
I like to see Henry squirm.
Yeah. At Henry, as the resident PlayStationista, do you think that pressure-sensitive front-facing and bumper, in brackets R1/R2, buttons should make a return for the next PlayStation controller, having been dropped for the DualShock 4? Now, this is the one I kind of sort of mentioned earlier when talking about Days Gone's driving. And yes, I totally think pressure-sensitive buttons should be a thing because it's just more precision.
Yeah.
And again, with Days Gone and driving games in general, I need to be able to control my speed with my trigger because I don't just want to be, frozen still or at top speed. That's no good.
That's the question, though. Because if you can do that on Days Gone, has it been dropped, this?
Yeah, so you can still do it on the 2 triggers, but you can't do it on the bumpers. They're just regular buttons. You click and it does a job.
Like binary on off.
Yeah. But I suppose it depends on what kind of functionality the game would need them for.
Yeah. I mean, it gives you more options, but then again, when you're shooting, it's a shooting game or something, I guess it doesn't make sense. It's easier just to have a...
Yeah. I do prefer the PlayStation 4 controller to the Xbox One controller because I like the symmetry of it. Yeah. But the triggers on the Xbox controller, they're so much better, and I can't even really say why. They just feel nice. Yeah, I feel like the mechanics of the pulling of the trigger is better. So I think they said they've got a bunch of hardware in there, which means it like vibrates when you're out of ammo or something. It's meant to feel different.
Yeah,
I can't tell you why, but it just does.
There you go.
That's it, I think, for our questions.
And thank you, everybody, for the questions this week. Leave your questions for next week down in the Discord channel on Ask Us Something. I still haven't really named that channel, so Ask Podcast Questions. But there you go. That's where you leave your questions for next week if you wish to do so. Next, we are going to read some YouTube comments from this week. And these comments, we're taking at random. Ones we liked, ones we thought were funny, mainly ones from fans that are triggered.
Yeah.
So it is time for that time of the week again for the Triggered Fanboy Comment of the Week. I've actually got two, right? So I was on the same video. I was on this Google, our kind of dual news roundup where we're talking about the Steam Cinema Cell disaster and 70% of gamers not interested in Google Stadia. So this is the first, right? And you've got to vote for this. You tell us, like, is it number 1, number 2 is going to get the fanboy, triggered fanboy comment of the week? Because it's quite a prestigious title now, right? Okay, the first competitor is Marinal KD, who comments, "What is this channel? They should embrace Stadia, but they're telling it is shit. This channel is shit. Reported. Not interested. Blocked." That's a contender.
It's not often you find a pro Stadia person.
That's brilliant.
They're a rare breed.
That's a great one. Triggered.
Oh yeah.
What is this channel? Blocked.
It's any one of those.
You don't have to click on our comments, dude. On our videos, man.
That's definitely a hate watcher. Like you've seen the
this
title.
Channel is shit. I don't like what you're saying. This channel and you're shit because I don't agree with your opinion. Epitome of a triggered fanboy. Yeah. Ace, I love it.
I read the title and it didn't agree with my opinion, so I clicked it anyway so I can let you know.
Okay, there's candidate number 1 for Triggered Fanboy Comment of the Week. Now, second Triggered Fanboy Comment of the Week candidate is on exactly the same topic, right? Courtney Sauk, S-A-U-K. Seriously? You're going to bitch about Stadia and then state completely inaccurate details. First, there is no 720p 30 FPS option. Second, the only paid option is the 4K 60 FPS with surround sound. If you have a 1080p TV, then Stadia is free for 1080p 60 FPS. If you have a shit internet connection, like Cirrus 2010 speed shit internet, then you can still get 720p 60 FPS for free. How can you even call yourselves gaming news when you can't even go to the freaking Stadia website and pull up the correct information that was released weeks ago? Whether gamers want this or not is still a ton cheaper than buying a console and a lot cheaper than spending over $2,000 for a 4K 60 FPS gaming PC. I honestly don't understand your hatred for Stadia. Not unless you're getting paid by Sony and Microsoft, since competition is always good for the consumer. Where do we even start with that one?
I think we have a winner right there.
The other one was more concise, though. I like the conciseness of the other one.
The other one
this guy's justifying all sorts of stuff here. How can you even call yourself a gaming news channel if you're not going to research the correct info? I'm pretty sure that we put up a screenshot of what you get with the paid package, where you get a Chromecast, you get a bunch of stuff, you get the controller, and you get discounts. It's not just the higher end performance. The part of the argument wasn't that how much it costs, it's that you have to pay on top. Yeah. So if you're having a less high quality service, you still have to pay the same price. So the 4K 60 FPS version, if you're paying, what was it, like $8.99, something like that, and then paying for your games on top was 60 quid, so let's say 68 quid. And then someone who's got the shit service because their internet's not very good, they're still paying 68 quid. Yeah. And that's not right. That, like, I can't. Google Stadia fanboys in the making. The service isn't even available right now or yet, and yet they're attacking us, calling us not. How can you call yourselves in gaming news when you can't even go to a freaking Stadia website? And the other dude was like banning or like blocking us because he didn't like what we're saying about a service which isn't available yet. I just don't get that. I've never gotten that mentality. No. I've never gotten it, right? Anyway, one thing to note is I left out a lot of the punctuation in this, like the 3 question marks after the first word, seriously, and then like all the capital words I kind of emphasized by kind of raising my voice a little bit, because it was requested that I don't stop for the grammar, for the exclamations and stuff, so that I just read it full. So hopefully I've done that justice, and it sounds.
Were there any like comments back, like replies, or did it get any likes?
None.
No one gave a shit about their terrible opinions about things.
No. I replied to the original one. I just replied in capitals, triggered. But nice. Not interested. I just love it. Like, what is this channel? They should embrace Stadia, but they're telling it is shit. This channel is shit. Reported, not interested, blocked. I fucking love that.
There is something to be said about its simplicity.
Almost poetry. Yeah, sorry, I was farting you. I'm so excited about that comment.
Yeah, that one. There's no fluff. It's just pure hatred.
Yeah, it's the roller coaster. It's like, what is this channel? Yeah. They should embrace Stadia, but they're saying it's shit. This channel is shit. Reported, not interested, blocked. I fucking love it.
I think what I like about the second one is that when people try and tell me I'm wrong when they're wrong.
Yeah. It's like, actually type of comment. Actually, you'll find that if you go and find the information, and you'd know that if you're a decent gaming channel. Okay, all right, well.
Sorry.
Where's your video explaining the situation? Oh, no, it doesn't exist because you're so much of a fanboy.
I promise to be better. Okay, well, I've got another one here, and this one,
sorry, before we end that, let us know. No, before we end it, just let us know down in the comments which one. I know which is my favourite, but you let us know which is your Trigger Fanboy comment of the week and who's going to be victorious, and maybe we will announce it in next week's show.
Okay, so I've got another one here, and it's really negative, but it's anti-digital, and there's a lot of swearing. So if you've got delicate ears, try to keep it together.
Cotton wool buds in them.
This is on, I think it's the podcast last week. Yeah, the GOG Galaxy conversation about, well, it was about other stuff as well. From Division. The day when Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo will stop supporting physical format, I will move straight away to PC/GOG Galaxy 2.0. Fuck digital format on consoles. Fuck live services on consoles. Fuck Google Stadia. Fuck Epic Game Fail Store. Fuck Xbox Game Pass. Fuck PS Now. Fuck Nintendo Online. Fuck all live services. Boycott DRM system. Let's give massive support to GOG. Let's give massive love to GOG Galaxy 2.0. I have enough how... What? I have enough how video games industry... I've had enough of how the video games industry has become. It looks like it's absolutely fucking terrible. There's a lot of F-bombs. So...
I understand where it's coming from.
I don't like digital, and I'm with you for your passion against it.
I can understand why he's upset. I probably wouldn't put it in those terms myself.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for your structure. But hey.
That's a decent comment. Okay, next question. Sorry, not question, this comment. On the Google Stadia topic again. DJ Porter. Google Stadia, it's a bit shit. Honestly, honesty in advertising, I could almost get behind that. Google Stadia, it's a bit shit. That's what we said at the end, right? Google Stadia, it's a bit shit.
Yeah. I mean, just be honest with your consumers and tell us.
I'm not sure that'd take off, though.
I don't know.
Google Stadia,
buy it.
It's a bit shit.
That's what we say. We're not amazing. We're pretty good.
Yeah, that's it. Like setting the bar. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If we do exceed ourselves, then you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, set your expectations low, and you'll never be disappointed.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've got another one here, and I think it's from our G2A piracy video where the devs are saying pirate our games rather than buy from G2A so you don't get any money from it.
Yeah.
In that we also talked about the new Witcher photos for the TV series, which is what this comment's actually relating to. From Johnny D, quoting, I think it was one of us said, "It doesn't matter what she looks like. Sorry to break it to you guys, but with movies, TV pretty much is all about looks like." So apart from being a poorly structured sentence, I think you've misunderstood a little thing called character and performance. So characters are much more than just what they look like. Now, I understand there is a criticism to be levied at the people making the Witcher series for casting a non-white person in a white role, because oftentimes if you cast a white person in a non-white role, there's a whole lot of hullabaloo and they get very upset saying it's whitewashing, but then an argument could be made that it's the opposite direction, and I respect that. However, the way a character looks isn't anywhere near as important to me as how they act.
Yeah.
Because it is acting. It is a performance, and you're there to convey emotion, not just look a certain way. If everyone was hired because they looked a certain way, no one would ever get a job.
You're seeing it from your point of view. I think he means from an industry point of view, and I think what he's done, his biggest problem there is exaggerated. He's given a definite rather than a generic general rule.
Yeah.
Like he says this is what's important, nothing else is important. Yeah, that's not right. It might be most important for a lot of people, but in a lot of cases it's sometimes not as important, sometimes it is more important. I mean, looks are important in this day and age. You can't deny that.
Oh yeah.
I don't think that is entirely accurate. It doesn't warrant an 11 likes even. I mean, isn't it 11 likes? Who's liking that?
Damn
comment?
it, Johnny D.
I mean,
you just made 11 accounts.
I kind of agree with what he's trying to say, but I don't agree with how he said it all right, it's a lot to do with how people look these days on TV, because good-looking people get more people watching than not good. That's just the way that's how human behavior is. So that's what people use anyway.
But yeah, there is criticism, as I said, that they will be facing because of this casting, but you've just got to wait and see, because she could be an amazing performer and really capture what Yennefer is as a character more than just, she's meant to be pale. That being said, I did see some comments saying that, what's her name? Girl who played Vesper in Casino, Eva Green. She's an excellent fan cast for Yennefer, and I totally agree. But it's not the case. So we've got to see how this girl does it. She could be amazing.
It. Next up, Slave99. Coleslaw is lovely, you spoon.
That's literally
unsubscribe.
That's my one. That's my next one. So yeah, if you didn't catch that one, I said I don't like coleslaw, and I went off on a mini rant for no real reason, and I explained how I don't even have a logical reason for not liking coleslaw, because I like what's in it. It upsets me when it's on the plate.
It upsets.
Yeah, it triggers me. And then there's a lot of people didn't seem to agree, but some people did agree. Now I can't immediately find one, but I promise there's there.
Yeah.
There was one, there were 3-4 comments apart. One that was, Henry doesn't like coleslaw, you weirdo. Then another one, I totally agree with your position on coleslaw. So
there you go.
I will like what I like, and I'll dislike what I dislike.
Yeah, well, I don't blame him for unsubscribing.
The kind of content we create, it's pro coleslaw content, and if I'm not representing,
if you're not behind that, guys, you might as well unsubscribe now. Okay, next comment. Tattoo Drdoke. I don't even know how to say Tattoo Drdoke. I've just realised, dude in the grey t-shirt, which was me, looks like Tom Holland 10 years older. The fucking cheek of it. 10 years older?
When I've read that, well, Tom Holland,
How old must I look? Tom Holland's quite old.
Tom Holland as in the actor who plays Spider-Man, right? That's who I think of.
Oh, right.
Because that's
I'm looking at the wrong guy.
Age. I think he's a little bit younger. Guy. And you are more than 10 years old. Unless you're thinking of someone else. Well,
I was thinking of something.
I looked at that and I stared at it for ages because I don't see it. I don't think you look like Tom Holland. I was thinking
Tom Hiddleston. That's how I was thinking.
Yeah, you look more like Tom Hiddleston.
That's the reason I jumped to that,
Tom,
right?
10 years old, I think that's a bit harsh. Because he's...
That's why I reacted to that. 10 years older than Tom Hiddleston. I'm thinking, what the fuck? How old must I look? 10 years older than Tom... Oh, this is interesting now to see how old I actually look. Tom Holland,
he's my age. I think he's 23.
So I look 33 years old. I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah. So if anything, it's a...
I take back my initial outrage with that comment. I even responded saying 10 years older.
Get fucked.
Yeah, I didn't say get fucked. I was just a bit annoyed.
I don't think you do
fucking
look like Tom Holland.
Older, fucking cheek of it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fair. I guess that's fair. Thanks. Better than Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah, that's true.
Have you got any more?
Yeah, I've got a couple. I'm trying to search for the comment I found. Here we go. So this is on my Days Gone video. Where are we? A real game journalist would have only scored 100 points. Remember the games journalist E3 demos of Days Gone? They were fucking embarrassing. Anyway, that was some pretty good gaming, Henry. See what I did there?
Zing.
Good pun. He was saying I was good. And then there we go. Made me happy. Although just while we were having lunch, I caught some gameplay for someone else playing, and they found like a loophole to climb onto one of the roofs. He got like 800,000 points.
Only had to come off when he ran out of ammo.
Yeah, he completely cheesed it, and
the whole horde was there, just throwing like Molotovs.
Yeah,
and stuff
just over and over again. Got like an 800 multiplier.
It's fun though. It was fun.
It was impressive.
Okay, I've got a question, which is more of a conversation, really, and it will take delving into. So, this is on the G2A video where we referred to piracy as theft, right? So we're going to get into terminology here. The guy, Mario F is the guy who commented. He says software piracy is not theft. You don't become the thief. Not saying this right, just that you should use the correct terminology. Now it depends on your definition, right? So it's like a string of 7 comments after this. There's one guy who replied to him. Novum, the reasonable gamer, comments, stealing by dictionary definition, requires the victim to lose something. Therefore, by definition, piracy is not theft. I mean, that's the dictionary definition, right?
I've just Googled define theft. Noun, the action or crime of stealing.
Taking something that isn't yours.
Yeah.
That's what I would think it was, right? We're not talking about a physical thing here. We're talking about intellectual property. We're talking about a digital thing, all right? It's not physical like in the real world. It's kind of the same thing as walking into a clock shop, duplicating a clock and then walking out with it, right?
Yeah.
It's someone's design.
Artistically,
someone's design, and it's somebody's put a lot of time and effort in creating that original clock. And if you ripped it off, if you made one exactly like it, you would get done for breach of copyright.
Exactly.
But because you've duplicated it, like it's in the future, and you've got like a duplication machine, you duplicated this clock and then walked out of it. You own something that isn't yours. Not in the wood that's been put together for the clock or whatever. If it's a grandfather clock, whatever. Not the wood that's gone into that. That can be yours because you did it yourself. But it's the intellectual property of the design and the aesthetic of the clock. That's what's been stolen, in the same way as when you duplicate a game onto your system. It's not a physical thing. It's not people aren't losing inventory. You're not taking a game out of somebody's hand or out of somebody's pocket, off somebody's shelf, like you would do walking into a shop. It is taking something that is not yours, and therefore, by my definition, that's theft.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't want to call it theft, you call it what you like. It's my bloody video.
You just want to justify stealing.
No, I don't think this guy does. I think this is it. He's saying here, not saying it's right, just that you should use the correct terminology. I mean, your terminology, you define it where you want. You look at whatever dictionary you want. We've just searched it really quick there. Our definition we used for the word theft, if you're disputing it, is taking something that isn't yours. Like the fact that somebody, the fact that there's a victim has lost something is different.
Piracy, obviously not the first definition about people and pirates at sea. The unauthorized use or reproduction of another's work.
Yeah.
And synonyms include stealing and theft.
Oh, would you look at that?
The same fucking
That's
thing.
all we have to fucking say, innit? It's taking something that's not yours. If you don't like the word theft or stealing, that's up to you. Just insert taking something that's not yours instead of that word during that video, please. I mean, if you're using piracy or whatever to justify your stealing,
that word, the act of piracy is illegal.
Yeah.
And it comes from
still illegal, it's still wrong.
Being pirates at sea, there's a ship, let's board it, nick all their shit. It's the same thing, just in a digital world.
If you're going to pirate a game, then if you like it, pay for it. Go and buy it, right? Yeah. Don't just use it as a demo. That's what a lot of people do. Not that I'm justifying piracy, but some people think that it's all right to just take people's thing. I mean, do what you like. I mean, I'm not here to be a dad, but but if you have to support these companies.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. I've got another one here.
That's all I've got this week.
And it's again on my it's on my Days Gone one, and it's really long, so try and bear with me. And this person seems to be very upset about the concept of free DLC, almost as though he's a snob, like, only peasants get things for free.
This is a good
one.
So
his English is a bit broken in parts, so bear with me. From CB. If a Witcher 3 DLC would cost €30, it is still worth it. In fact, it is so outstanding that the entire game, along with its DLC, is worth easily $200. If it's good, pay, or go fuck yourself. Just like I told our Greek gyros girl that I would also pay €5 instead of $3.50 for the pitta she serves. It is not the tastiest in the region, but it's the largest portion. It's really weird sentiment here.
Mm-hmm.
I would go so far as to say I'm willing to pay €500 for a game that can deliver me what Wild Vanilla delivered. World of Warcraft Vanilla.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
World of Warcraft Vanilla delivered back then. And no, WoW Classic won't even be 10% of that. But hey, there's no fucking game that's been even remotely close to that. Probably because you are all fucking subhuman. Who the fuck knows? I can't go further than guessing that the current gamer generation is a bunch of non-gaming fuckheads. Otherwise, I would have something to play and wouldn't be here and enlighten you guys about where you truly stand. I would be playing a good game, right? Since when do we exhilarate what is for free? I give a fuck about free. I give some pauper something for free. It has to be something pauper, right? Or you think I would give some daydreaming trash can anything of worth? This is exactly how you are perceived by the gaming industry, and fuck, they are right. Games like Witcher, Uncharted and Friends, they are nothing but welfare. You are just not fucking worth it. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, I think this guy's got an issue with valuing things that he can get for free.
Yeah.
And I think he attributes the value of a DLC to how much you pay for it, and he doesn't consider the fact that this additional content could be packaged in the original game and it'd be the same price, and therefore it's worth more. It's more valuable. Say this additional content for this free DLC we've just had for Days Gone was in the original game, he would have liked that more because he's paid for it versus liking it now because it's for peasants, right?
Yeah.
Like the only peasants get free stuff.
Yeah.
And okay, he's a proponent of paying what the thing's worth. He's talking about paying $500 for World of Warcraft Vanilla because he's had probably hundreds and hundreds of hours playing it. I get that. If you want to do that, by all means go and do that. But I think what he's doing here is being very, very snobby in terms of he thinks that not everyone's got £500 to pay for a game. Not everyone's got like $5 to pay for a pitta.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Calling everyone fucking subhuman. Like, the bit that really gets me is he shoots himself in the foot with the argument about the current gamer generation is a bunch of non-gaming fuckheads. Okay, so you're trying to say that most gamers these days don't actually play games, they just say they do to be cool or whatever. But then he immediately goes on to say, otherwise I would have something to play and wouldn't be here to enlighten you. So you're not playing a game. You're saying there are no games to play, therefore you have nothing to play, which means you're a non-gamer. So I think you're a non-gaming fuckhead.
It's all about terminology again. It's like most of the people who play games these days are not gamers.
If you play a game,
we can talk about terminology here, right? What does it? This is why he's such a snob. What does it mean to be a gamer then? Like, what barrier? Like, why are you barriering off these people from being gamers? Like, what does a gamer mean to you because you're such a snob? Like, they're not entitled to be gamers because they don't meet your high expectation, or like what a gamer should do and how a gamer should think and how a gamer should act. Stop being such a fucking snob. Get off your fucking high horse and accept that you're probably not a gamer if you don't play as much games as other people. If you want to pay $500 or not, if you value games for how much they're sold for, it doesn't make you any more or less of a gamer than everyone else. Fuck off. Stop being such a snobby fucking entitled prick.
I paid for the game, but you got it for free, but I'm better than you because I paid.
Yeah.
Like, I paid for Days Gone and got it for free. So...
He's the idiot wasting his money.
Yeah.
He's the fucking idiot wasting his money.
$500 on one game. If you want to do that, that's your choice, but it doesn't make you a fucking real gamer or better than me.
I think this type of sentiment, this type of outlook undervalues what a lot of developers are doing. Like, I really appreciate what Sony Bend have done.
Yeah.
And providing this extra content after all the hours that have gone in. They don't have to do this. They could work on the next project. They don't have to put manpower on this. They're not going to get extra money from it. No. Maybe they might see a few extra residual sales from people who weren't interested before. It's like, oh, this added features, that looks cool. I'll play that game. I might buy the game. But I would rather appreciate the value that people are offering for your money rather than just diss it because it's not taking enough of your notes out of your wallet. It's gonna be such a fucking idiot.
Some people are just dumb fucks. Have you got any more? Because I've got one last one.
I'm out.
All right, and I picked a positive one because I knew that one was going to be quite unpleasant. So this is on our Steam Summer Sale disaster video from earlier in the week from a very difficult to pronounce name. What the hell? Samiza Getusa Regia. Okay. Thank you for the nuggets and the video as a whole. I'm excited for the Surge too. Really enjoyed the first one. Have a great day, guys.
Have a great day.
Wholesome, nice.
Yeah. We read mostly 100% of the comments, right?
Yeah.
Almost all the comments. So if we read out a lot of negative ones and you're thinking, oh, I left a positive one, we read all the comments. We just don't read out some of the positive ones, but we do really appreciate every single comment because it adds to our engagement, it adds to promoting our videos in the algorithm and all that sort of stuff. So don't think that we don't appreciate you guys just because we don't read them out. I think it's funner to read out the triggered ones and the stupid ones because we can just take the piss out of them, essentially. But in general, thank you everybody for supporting the content, leaving the likes on the videos, and commenting and subscribing and hitting the bell and all sorts of stuff because it really helps us out. And everyone over on Patreon, if you want to support the channel, I'll say it again, patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. If you've got $1 or $2 to throw to us every single month, we really appreciate it because without those donations we could not continue to produce. And having said that, that will do it for this podcast. Thanks for listening and watching, and or watching wherever you're listening or wherever you're watching. And on behalf of Mr. Henry Cooper and I, we will see you again no, we won't. You will see us again next time. Bye for now.